Hi guys, Cliff here. I'm starting a new aeroplane. Some of you will have seen the little plant I put up on the community post. If you remember, I'll just cut to a bit of video here. If you remember a few weeks ago, probably months now, I flew down at Winard's Perch and I flew this lovely big yellow and orange slow flyer, which I built a few decades ago. Well, I'm going to build another one. I've drawn the plan up and it's going to be much smaller, about that big, and instead of that big. And yeah, I'm going to start the construction on the tailplane and elevators and fin and rudder. It's on the bench now. I'll make the plan available as well for download if you want to donate a couple of quid towards that. That would be cool. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It shouldn't take long to build. Just finished the Mercury and that was a big build, as you know. So this is going to be a quickie, a little light interlude as it were. So yeah, let's get on with it, shall we? And I'll show you what I've done so far. So what I've got is I've pinned the tailplane and fin down onto the surface. I'm going to start with the tailplane because it's nearest you guys. How about that? Like that. And what I thought I would do, the construction of the big one actually is very light. So I'm going to kind of do a similar thing here. I've got 1/8 square for what would be the ribs, I suppose. And I'm using 1/8 by 1/16 for the various parts. This is going to be a fun part because it's curved around. Hopefully that'll be long enough. Yes, just so. First thing to do is to, I guess, get this leading edge on. Like that. Right, I previously soaked this just then as the pins were going in, didn't I? So I'm going to put that in there. Just going to bend that around like that, and this is the last one. Right, so we'll let that set. Can't really do the elevators for the minute because it's around there, but I can do the, coming over, look, can do the fin and rudder, or at least part of it. So I'm going to carry on with this side. It's exactly the same as that construction. The leading edge will bend around. I'll damp it first, but it will bend around. I'll crack on with the fin and rudder, guys, and I'll see you back very soon. Lovely, that, isn't it? Lovely, Cliff. Take the tailplane off. It's great how the curved wood stays in shape, isn't it? Cut that bit off. There we are. Lovely. Welcome back, just in time to see the last piece going in. Okay, there we go. We'll let all that dry and we can take it off. Don't need that now. We can take it off and give it a sand and hinge, and that'll be the tail feathers done. Just a quick look at the fuselage. Show you now. You bend you down. If you know the aeroplane I'm basing this on, then you know it's a triangular fuselage with a top and 2 bottom rails. But this one I'm going to make a little bit more straightforward insofar as it's just going to be a profile, so it'll look the same flying by, but it's going to be a lot easier to make, but more importantly it's going to be a lot lighter. I drew it as 1/4 inch, maybe the bottom one's 3/16, but you see how small the motor is, and the motor, I know it's got a gearbox, but suddenly the fuselage looks really heavy, so I'm going to try and make it quite a bit lighter. Decided to go for a piece of 3/16, fairly hard, and another piece of 3/16, medium, a little bit more flex to it. So it's just going to be these sort of 6 bits of wood really. Something else I can do actually is to round this off as I go down, so I can take a fair amount of wood off of this, so it won't be as heavy as you think it might be. Oh, you know what I've just done? Oh dear, I just used that bit of wood. I thought it had a funny angle on it. I've used that hard bit I saved at the front to cut this short bit, cut that off of there. That's that bit that was in there. Oh Cliff, you Wally. Pin in there. Okay, that's the fuselage built. So let's let that dry and we'll take it off later. I'm really looking forward to getting on with the wings actually. That's going to be my favourite part. Do you want to have a quick look? How attractive are they? So I've got, the wing ribs are quite close. If I pick the right material it won't add much weight without keeping the wing section. So I've got a dihedral from the root up to here and then a further dihedral coming off of there, so it's polyhedral wing. Should be nice, very nice. So now all I need to do is to put that on there, line it up with the 2 marks, and we'll be good to cut. Keeping it close to the ply because I don't want to come away at all really. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cut them all like this, and then I'm going to cut down through the leading and trailing edge in one go, and that will guarantee they're all the same length. Okay, I'll continue on down and I'll see you at the bottom. One there, one there. I figured these wing ribs, by the way, I'm just going to sort of cut them down, the relevant part out of the rib. And this one's going to go in there, like that. So the trailing edge is going to be sanded down from 3/16. Just wondering if I ought to lay it all down in one bit and cut it afterwards. Should be able to. I love doing this. This bit is 2 laminations of 1/16. Lovely big gentle curve. Beautiful. So let's find some leading and trailing edge bits and come back in a moment. So I'm going to use this here and then we'll cut it, and then it'll just fair in. This bit here will just fair in like that. Just sand it in. So I'll cut all the bits out and we'll start gluing soon. See how quickly these aeroplanes build. I only started it yesterday evening. I haven't spent a lot of time on it. I've been up all night or anything. Okay. Let's get a little pile of glue going. And just get some of these end grains drying. I think a rubber powered version of this would go very well as well, you know. I'm going to use a couple of sockets just to get that upright and manoeuvred. Nice. As you can see, I'm just building it up, so I'll come back in a minute. I'm going to glue that in there. Obviously it's going to glue at the trailing edge a little bit, but I'll be able to separate that with a scalpel. So put that in there, bend it around. That rib has to be tilted quite a long way, so it's quite a big dihedral on the tip. Actually that's quite good because it's come away from the back edge there, so it's not going to stick to the rib. Suddenly thought I wasn't recording, so I've just bent that bun. I'll pin it round in a minute, but I've just got to add the second part. Okay, we'll let that set and Then I'll put this front piece on as a separate entity. Doing a late shift today. Not that you're interested really, I'm just talking. Alright, that's going to go in there. Get a couple of pins in to hold it all there. If it's going to mark the balsa, you can put little blocks of wood there to save it, but as it's now dried from when I formed it up earlier on, it's not worth it. Right, there we are, squidging out nicely, which is what we want to see. We'll let that set. I do need to put some gussets in though. It might be good to put gussets in before I take it off, so let's have a quick look at that, see if I can lock some up. Tomorrow, because I'm going to get home very late tonight, we can unpin it and see what we got, and then I set the other wing up. Okay guys, welcome back. This is now dry, so let's pull it out and see what we've got. Okay, my favourite part, all of our favourite parts I guess, removing the pile of balsa wood from the board into a 3D structure. Keep those for the other wing. Well, there we are. I'm going to sand the trailing edge all in one go and the leading edge, and then I can split it, and I'm going to cover this part in a separately and glue the two bits together. That's great. Most of that wood is going to come off, especially on the trailing edge. It doesn't have to be particularly well strict shape, but it all helps because it's such a slow flyer, it won't make a huge amount of difference. Okay, I'm going to set the other wing up, and while that's drying I'll go out and sand this, and then hopefully when I turn the camera on again you'll see another wing all laid up, and this wing I should be showing you all sanded. Cheers guys. Right, there we are, that wing's laid up, and I've been sanding the other wing. The leading edge has gone down quite well, except it's very hard balsa and it was difficult to do it without breaking anything. The trailing edge is a bit chunky actually, because it just follows the line. In the meanwhile, I think there's no reason why I shouldn't separate these two pieces now. By the way, look at this idea. I discovered that just to push that in there nice and tight, the easiest way to do it was to use a piece of heavy wood, and I just pivoted it in like that, and when it was nice and tight, locked it off, and it holds it nice and tight. Quite pleased with that. Discovered that sort of accidentally. Anyway, let's get on with cutting this, shall we? Let's get a razor saw. We'll just separate it. The front one is already separated really. There's only a little bit of glue on there. The structure, by the way, is very weak. Whatever part you're working on, hold that part. Don't hold it anywhere else because you're going to break it. So like sanding the leading edge was supported on a block, or I was holding it in my hand. Okay, so I mention that now because this is the bit I'm working on, so that's the bit I've supported. Okay, that one there. Right, so first job is to clean up that cut, so that's just straight across. Now this one here has to be cut, sanded rather, at that angle of that rib. See how it sort of joins. I'm expecting to have to sand it a little bit more, but maybe not, because I'm going to glue it on the trailing edge, the leading edge, and just pinch the wings, the ribs in the middle. I've built both wings now and sanded them, and I've got a wing and a tip port, and the same for starboard, wing and a tip. Goes that side. No, it doesn't. Goes that side. Wing and a tip for starboard. I've got the fuselage, and for the fuselage I found a motor which is about 8 by 25 mil. That will sit up there on top. I've found a little 2-channel board for a rudder and elevator. That will sit down on a little plate somewhere. I might assemble it first before I position that to help with CG. Same with the battery. So I've tested it, it's ready to go. I've got the tailplane and elevators, which I have to hinge next before I can cover them. They'll just be covered on the top surface. Another thing I've done, actually, the 1/8 square looked a bit clunky, so I've sort of tapered it down a bit. I think next time I'll use 1/8 by 16 to hinge. Same with the fin and rudder. I need to hinge. I've tapered that as well. Look, I need to hinge that, and that will go on there. I'm just wondering actually whether I should treat the wings with one coat of, the wings have come out at just over 4 grams each now in total. Yeah, I was just wondering if I ought to give them a coat of the Ronseal clear varnish just to make them a little bit moisture resistant. So it's 18.16 grams, 18 grams. I think there's 26 grams, something like that, in an ounce. So, 3/4 of an ounce. That's quite heavy when you think that the fuselage, well, it's not too bad, I suppose, 5.8. So next job is to hinge the control surfaces. You can over hinge them by putting them in and they're too stiff. What I have done in the past, if they're too stiff, I can get my knife in and just thin them out between the control surface and the main surface, which works to a degree. Or you can just snip through the middle one, just cut through it. So put your pin in exactly halfway. It's all a matter of experimenting. You can use whatever hinge you like. I like this. We'll put it there. There we go. Lovely job. So there's one in. There we go. We've got ourselves a hinge. Not too much tension, but it's enough to hold it quite firmly. Okay, I'm going to do the elevator the same way, and then I'll see you back. Okay guys, with a little bit of fettling, I've got a nice movement going on the control surfaces. So next job will be to cover in. I'll just show you the control horn I've got there is out of an old model. Just got to put the middle hinges in for a second. But that'll glue in now after I've covered it, because I want to be able to lay it flat. I've given this a coat of clear varnish. It's like water, but it'll just seal the boltswood a little bit. It's not quite dry yet, but here's the plan. I'm going to use my 3M77 spray adhesive, which is very mild spray adhesive, and I'm going to spray the top surface of the wing and give it a few minutes to dry, and then I'm going to come back in and I'm going to put it on there, and I'm just going to roll it in a controlled, skillful manner onto the covering like that. Simple as that. Just wondering if I ought to put a pin in each corner. I have a feeling that the video I saw, they actually taped it down, but then mine isn't moving, probably static, that's right. Okay, it's had a couple of minutes. Let's give it a go, shall we? Here we go. What's the leading edge? There's the leading edge. So I'm just going to place that on there. I'll put that there. Just let it fall down. Actually, I don't want those in, do I? Because it's going to stop it from moving. Just get that wrinkle out before I let it down. Not on the rib there. Could be bad news. Let's turn it over. Be in contact adhesive. There's no second chances. Doesn't move. Once it's down, it's down. There. If you don't know, if you've never done it before, just give it a go. That's what I'm doing. Got the right side sprayed. That's the bottom. It's nice working, just listening to the coo of pigeons. Very nice, very peaceful. These little aeroplanes don't take long to make. Just offering them up, I realised I've made a boo-boo. The centre ribs, I drew them as complete ribs. The reason being that I could glue them to the fuselage. But because I haven't done that, all I can glue is front and rear. So what I'm thinking of is maybe gluing the piece I cut out, which should be a fairly straightforward job, to be honest. And it'll give me more to glue together, and obviously it's going to give me something to glue to the fuselage, because I can't just rely on a little point of glue front and back. So little boo-boo there. I haven't offered up the wingtips yet, so let's do that, shall we? See if these ribs are pulled in. That's okay. They look nice. That's going to come up like that. Can't do anything to speed the process up without another pair of hands. There we go. Let's just leave that for a second. On there. Okay, guys. My camera ran out of memory last night when I was filming, so you didn't get the gluing on the wingtips bits. But anyway, here it is. Let's just pop the bands pegs off. Right, okay. So, as I say, I accidentally made up the wrong internal ribs. I might leave them in for now. Can't hurt, can it really? That feels pretty good. I'm quite pleased with the covering. It's gone on quite nicely. So let's just saw the photograph I put up on the community tab of it wedged in position. One other thing, I will be fitting outboard struts. But again, I'll wait till I've got the CG sorted because I want to have struts going from, say, here up to there, or one each side. That will support it. On the full size one, I had the lines, cotton lines supporting the wing. I suppose I could do the same here, but I think struts will make it much more a solid structure. This will do it. That will just sit in there like that, and I'll just put in some epoxy up the sides, and that'll hold that down there nicely. There's a little plastic tray off the old model It clips onto the board. Doesn't clip fantastically, and even the manufacturer used some little blobs of hot wax to hold it in. But I'm going to glue the board to this little balsa tray, then the balsa tray will glue onto the fuselage. I epoxied the clamps onto the balsa and then hot glued the servo tray receiver onto the clips in 3 positions, 1, 2, 3. Now I'm just thinking, while I got the hot glue gun out, I might not solder this up. I might not epoxy this. I might just pop a little bit of hot glue on the shoulder there just to hold it in. A very small amount of right thrust, and I've got a very small amount of down thrust. That's fine. I'll let that set a second. There we go. And motor. I'm going to put a skid on, guys, but I've decided to make a little undercarriage. So this will go down through there onto there, then I'll just glue that onto that upright. So it'll have his tiny little wheels, but they will be, the prop is a long way from the ground, so no problem there with clearance. I might even glue that on and then just put a little tie of cotton around just to hold it, because we like our cotton, don't we? Just thought I'd show you this, guys. I've got a big selection box of different size O-rings, so I've just picked one out that's a nice tight fit, so that will go on there like that. There's one I prepared earlier. I'll just run some CA around that. I've got myself a proper little pair of wheels, and they're in front of CG, so that's all that matters. The wing is going to be epoxied on, so I've got a little support either side. I've already epoxied on a tapered support, which is going to be about 2 degrees positive. From here on in, things get a little bit delicate, but it's easy because I've fitted transparent covering, so that makes life a bit easier. Sliding back, let's bring those forward. Okay, we'll let that set and come back to it in quarter of an hour. But I've still got the undercarriage and prop to put on, but I've also got to put I found one push rod, 2 mil, perfect length. That can go on one side. So let's do a little bit more, shall we? Actually, I really ought to get the outriggers on. Get the angle right, so we're looking at about there. That'll be a start, then I can move it back as I perfect it. Just dropped a bit of CA on the top end, so now I'm just going to put quite a lot on because it's end grain and it's going to soak it up. Put a little bit of tension on it. Okay, and there's the struts in. Just fitting the push rods, guys, and I just thought I'd better show you what it is I'm doing. You bend up a little, if you can see this or not, bend up a little clip that goes back, turns on itself and comes back, and then that acts as a little retainer which you just hook over the control rod, control arm. There's no adjustment in this, but what I do is to slide it up and down to get the perfect spot. What you can do actually is just make it a loose fit, or at least pushable, and then tighten it up later, but it's not going to be far out, so I'm just going to fix it to the perfect length. Just going to slide it in now, and when it's at the perfect length I'll take it off. Bit of heat shrink on it, just ties the two together. Quite simple really. I've already hooked up the rudder, just thought I'd show you that quickly. Let's try it. Can you see that? Rudder, it's working the right way, and the elevator is working the right way. It's got some beans. Excellent, good. It won't quite hold its weight, but we wouldn't expect it to be honest. Rudder, elevator. There will be a plan available for a small price later on, but I'll just amend the plans that I've got now, but obviously I'm not going to put the plans on until I've flown it. Okay guys, thanks for watching, and hit the little thumbs up button, and if you're not subscribed, subscribe. You don't want to miss this one. Cheers guys, bye.
Oh!
Right, this way. Signal brake, is it? It's an indoor model. Let's do that again. Not the easiest thing to launch actually.
Seriously?
One last attempt at a flight.
You try not to hit something.
It's got to stall because I haven't got a battery on it. Actually, for those weight.